Hello my friends, Gary Goes and fellow poets, welcome back to the channel, and boy do we have a treat for a video today. We are going back to some old school Adam Gary poetry content and doing a book review of none other than Viggo Mortensen's book of poetry and photography. And if you don't know, Viggo played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, so what a treat. I will try not to be too biased. So let's get into it. So as always with my book reviews, I like to do full in-depth reviews. Well, not necessarily in-depth, but certainly well-rounded, I guess. I don't look at just the poetry. I like to look at the cover. I like to look at the formatting, the inside of the book, and the design and everything like that. So if you're here just to, you know, as a curious poet or what have you, if you're just here for the poetry, I will leave some timestamps and chapters so you can skip right to the poetry section. But otherwise, we're going to look at the book as a whole. So here it is, Coincidence of Memory by Viggo Mortensen. The cover is fabulous. I'm certain that it's a minus the barcode obviously in the writing. Actually, is that, now I'm seeing it on camera, it actually just looks like it looks like half of the photograph and then just flipped, but maybe not. I'm pretty sure the photograph is in the book itself. I'll let you purchase a copy so you can see for yourself. Talking about purchasing the copy, this was a steal. When I first sort of looked for, it felt like the right time to do another book review on the channel. When I first started looking for this book, it was on Amazon for £60 as second hand, right? And I thought, okay, I love you, Viggo, I love Lord of the Rings, everything like that, that's cool, but I'm not paying £60. And then I just happened to check again a few weeks later, this last week, and it was £20. It's not brand new, but it is in fairly, I mean, it might as well be new. There's a few little bits of, a few signs of love, previous love. What a weird way to put it. Some wear and tear, right? There's some wear and tear, but nothing that warrants me not having bought it. It might as well be new, is what I'm trying to say. So that's the cover. I think it's quite, what do you guys think? I think it's quite mysterious, quite gothic even. It's a tree. I'm not sure where it's a tree. I'm not sure what sort of photography technique it is there, but it's solid. It's a solid cover. It makes you question, oh, what's inside there? What's that book about? So I quite like the cover. Yeah, it's a hardback, if you couldn't already tell. It's a hardback. It's got a nice matte finish to it. It's nice to hold, and it's quite a nice size. I really like I mean, it's a square. I really like the size of the book. It's different. It's almost like a photo album. Well, it kind of is a photo album, right? And there's just a couple of photos. Lovely rich colour. Now I'm no professional, so I'm not going to give you the technical terms. If you're a designer or a book publisher, then you might be able to throw the correct terms down in the comments below, and please do. I like to learn from you guys too. But it's a nice glossy paper. It's really nice quality, almost card. It's nice to hold, which is what I'm trying to say. This is not a new book at all, guys. If I'm reading this right, it was published in 2002, 2003. Copyright 2002, all images and words, Viggo Mortensen. How have I not heard about this book before then, if it was published in 2002? Printed in Spain. Okay, this was printed in Spain at Jomaga. So this is in incredible condition considering it's over 20 years old, Ben. So there's no blurb. That is my quick look at the outside of the book. We quickly touched upon the interior of the book, the inside of the book. So it's basically photography and poetry. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a poem just here as well. It's, yeah, we've spoken about the paper quality. It's really, really nice. I love the size of the book. The font it's like a formal font, but it's not one I've seen before. It's almost, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It might not be in focus. But it's kind of like, it's along the lines of Times Garamond, but it's nicer actually. There's a few signatures of the font, I guess. I don't think I've seen it before, but it's really, really nice. It's got that formal feel to it. Now, again, I talk a lot about blank space and use of resources. That's kind of my thing, right? That's what I mention in almost every single one of these videos. And I will bring it up, and I know that this is probably the first time that I actually agree with the whole space is part of it. This has got a really formal feel to it, right? It's got a really formal feel to it. It's very sleek and classy, if you like. It's got a sense of class to it. And I kind of agree with the designer having it like that, but even with the regular paperback poetry books that I've spoken about, at the end of the day, it is more of a resource issue than anything else. But most of the book, as you can see, there's a long poem there. Most of the book, like I said with Violets, most of the book is taken up, right? It's not just page upon page upon page of sentences or micro poems. So you can kind of let it go. You can kind of let it go. I couldn't see, where's it gone? I couldn't see two poems. Well, I guess saying that, why couldn't you have two poems on a page here, right? But it might look a little bit odd with the type of book that it is. But let me know in the comments whether I'm being a bit biased because I've loved Lord of the Rings since I was a kid. The tone of this book and the type of book that it is, it might look odd having two poems. But what I will say is, on this page, you've got a small little micro poem here, but at least they've put two photographs on the page, so you're still using up the page. Again, I don't know if that's going to be in focus or anything like that, so I'm not too mad at it. It's another wonderful piece of artwork with a nice long poem down here, if you can see that. Another two photographs. So yeah, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. I might be a little bit rusty. Please forgive me if I am. Some great works of art here. So it's not just photography, poetry, it's also paintings as well. So all the P's. Photography, painting, poetry. Boom. Okay, so now the important part, the poetry. What's my views on the poetry? So for this book, I think I wouldn't recommend it as your first poetry book. If you're looking to get into poetry, then I wouldn't say this is the first place you should look. Not that the poetry is bad, but more the fact that Viggo's poetry does take some sitting down and spending some time with, and reflecting over it to kind of figure out what's being said. It's not poetry that you can read the first time over and know exactly what's going on and what's being said. I don't know too much about Viggo. The only stuff I do know is from watching like behind the scenes interviews of Lord of the Rings content and stuff like that. And what I do know is that when he was playing Aragorn, I was going to say, do you know what? I was going to say, I know that when he played the role of Aragorn, I know that he really took on that role and that lifestyle, and sort of used to camp overnight in places and go fishing and sort of be a real like sort of traditional man's man type, you know, head of the household. Yeah, I should probably get my thoughts together before just turning the camera on, but in my head I know what I'm trying to say. I just struggle getting it out, and I've just looked at the dates here, and this poem, the first poem I want to read to you, was actually written in 91-92, which was before Lord of the Rings started shooting. So I guess Viggo has been quite a reflective person since before Lord of the Rings. But yeah, my point is, this probably wouldn't be a good jumping off point if you're just getting into poetry, which I know a lot of my viewers are. But certainly once you've kind of gotten hold of the craft of poetry and how to read poetry and dissect poetry, then do pick up Coincidence of Memory. Anyway, the first poem I came across that I really loved and really grabbed me was 5,000 Years. It's a long way made of stone from Omaha to Cairo, from the riverbank through the dying fields, across the sea to the bloody quarries where they keep digging for rulers while school bells echo north and south off the twin brown mirrors of the Missouri and the Nile. I was always fascinated by Egypt in school when that sort of history, that subject in history came around, but yeah, that was the first poem that really made me, you know, oh, I want to read this out loud for this video. So 5,000 Years. Okay, so for the second poem that really grabbed me that I wanted to read for you guys, it's called Hillside, and it was written in 1994. I was 2 years old. We underestimate damage done to the sky when we allow words to slip away into the clouds. I remember making promises to you outside. We were watching flowers that hadn't opened. A bee darted, careful not to stick to your half-shut mouth. Hillside. Okay, so this one's a little bit longer. It's called Fossils. I really liked part 3 of this, but I'll read the whole thing. So Fossils. 1. Red-eyed, chore-laden and stooped with grudges, they scratch on the sheep ridges with their bleached sticks, knuckles flaring in the cold, and pick a living from the sand. There are no seducers, no bowls of fruit carved from teak. Shards of bone china are occasionally exposed in the eroding cliffs, stubborn testaments to hopeful Sunday evenings frozen faithful and waiting for spring. The only thing green is the now scurrying, now stone-steel lizard, son of the permanent footprints that mark fitful starts to invisible paths in the bankrupt riverbed. 2. The women crawl with unvarying pulses, bearing rusting pails of discarded shale for sleepwalking husbands with hands that dream of skinning fish after tearing entrails from supple young spines. 3. There are no children, only younger versions of those nearly done. good likeness, of the same lack of a warm side, of the same limited repertoire of mannerisms, of the same inflexibility of lifespans. The grey birds call thinly from thirsty sandstone perches as the light finally weakens, and somewhere up in the charred pines you can hear the beginning of the wind. That was published in '92. I was 0 years old whichever month that was published or written in. I was 0, but I may or may not have even been born. The next poem is literally on the next page, and I really enjoyed this because it's about acting and the editing and stuff like that. Again, it was written in '92, so I may or may not have been born. Edit. No ringside seat compensate, nothing new to be said about a job completed for you by others in windowless rooms. A half soul in transit, the man you were for one short season has been pruned, removed to a well-groomed graveyard that smells like popcorn. Okay, and finally, the last poem I want to read you is titled Halloween, which is my favourite time of year, and it was written in 1990, so 2 years before I existed. They were always giving birth, always pregnant, always taking fucking for granted. They were not being brave when they dug up the skulls of their past lovers in the middle of the night and painted them for use as jack-o'-lanterns. It was summer and they were crazy about each other. In the past week, the weather has turned bad and they've stuffed a sheet into the stovepipe to keep out the wind. It is torn and blood-stained from the time he convalesced on it after tearing up his ankle in a motorcycle accident. It smells of that time, of arnica and sweat. They need more than a sheet to remember what bound them. They need wood for the stove. Lately they've been fighting over those heads, wanting to know whose was whose. She's been splitting them with the kindling axe when the kids have fallen asleep and he is taking his evening bath. Up to his ears in oily bubbles he hears the bones splintering, as well as the occasional bad swing that takes a divot out of the rotten floorboards of the back porch, and thinks it's probably good exercise. He remembers standing, holding hands with her outside their locked car, keys visible in moonlight on the front seat, freezing on the prairie, laughing at themselves. I wish that was me on that plane, wherever it's going. I want a holiday. So that's my overview of Viggo Mortensen's poetry book, Coincidence of Memories. Memory, just one singular memory. I just got that title actually. I just got that title because it's sort of a diary with all these different memories and I'm not a huge art buff. I'm kind of just now getting into art and appreciating art and kind of studying it and figuring out what it means and stuff. And there's some really nice, at least aesthetically nice pieces of art in there, but again, I'm no art connoisseur, but Viggo is a true artist, so I'm sure that they're amazing. He's a true artist through and through with whatever he seems to do. But yeah, so that's my video of Viggo's book. I think it's a lovely book, so well put together. It's really nice to hold, it's great to have, it's great to turn the pages through, and hopefully you kind of got the idea of how well he writes in terms of his word choices and even just the way, even just speaking it out loud, it does something to your tongue, and it's just really well crafted poems. Again, what I have said, and I'll reiterate, is if you're just now getting into poetry, I mean, hey, who am I? Challenge yourself, right? If you feel up to it, challenge yourself. But it might not be it might not be suitable as your first book, but certainly something to work up towards, and certainly something to get once you have kind of understood poetry and reading poetry. Yeah, you definitely, yeah. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts on the poems that I read. If you've got this book, let me know what you thought of it. And until next time, my friends, please don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment too. I really love hearing from you guys. I really love responding to you guys. And the likes, they really help the channel too. They're completely free and it only takes you 2 seconds. So please do hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, hey, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications too. And until next time, my friends, happy writing, happy reading. Ciao.